Hiya, my name is Jess and welcome to my channel, Have a Book at This. Could you tell that there's going to be a running theme to today's video? So in a few days time I am going to be going on holiday to Disney World in Orlando, Florida, which is super exciting because I've never been there before. I've been to the Disneyland Paris but never the Disney World, and I am an absolutely massive Disney and Pixar fan, so it's just super exciting. And because I was so excited, I really wanted to make my own sort of Disney book tag to kind of get ready for the holiday and get myself into the mood. But literally every conceivable Disney book tag ever has already been thought of. Disney book tag? Done. Disney Pixar book tag? Done. Disney Princess book tag? Done. Disney songs book tag? Also done. So I just kind of decided to go ahead and do my own thing anyway and do kind of a Disney and Pixar sort of mashup book tag. I know it sounds like so unoriginal, and it really is, because I've used pretty much most of the same films and a lot of very similar questions to previous book tags, but it's not me trying to be like original or trying to copy anyone or anything. I really was just trying to kind of have some fun and create some book questions that I really wanted to answer. So please don't hate me for not being original. I'm not trying to copy you if you've already made a book tag like this. There are just so many out there, and I thought it'd be really fun to kind of make my own. So here on my phone I have a list of 11 Disney and Pixar themed questions, so let's just get right in there. First up we have Cinderella, and the question to go with that is the book that started it all. What book was it that kind of fueled all of your reading passion and made you into the reader that you are today? I know that I'm going to sound like a broken record for saying this yet again, but my answer has got to be Harry Potter. I've said this before, but for me Harry Potter was really just the book series that made me fall in love with reading. I was a reader before, and I think I would have been a reader anyway. I think I would have enjoyed reading, but it was Harry Potter that kind of just showed me what an immersive and magical and rewarding experience it could be, and I don't think that I would be quite as in love with reading today as I am if it wasn't for that kind of just giving me the first little push towards this life. Let's get down to business to defeat Dawn. Did they send me dollars when I asked for signs? You're the saddest bunch I ever met, but you can bet before we do, Mr. R, make a man out of you. So next up we have Mulan, and for that the question is your favourite kick-ass female protagonist. For me, I've kind of got a 2 for the price of 1 deal going on here, because the book that I've chosen for this question is Codename Verity, and its 2 main characters, Maddie and Verity. Codename Verity follows these 2 young women during World War II. One of them, Maddie, is a pilot, and the other one, Verity, is a spy. And whilst they're both sort of stationed in the same place, they form this really solid bond that lasts well into the war. For me, these are 2 amazing female protagonists. They're 2 women that are completely different. Verity is quite sassy, I think is the best word to describe her. She's very confident and forward, whereas Maddie is a lot sweeter, she's a lot shyer, but they are both such confident, kick-ass, amazing women, and they're both so brave, and together they just have this most amazing, strong female friendship. And when I'm reading this, I just feel like so empowered by both of their characters. And I think the reason for it being not the most popular YA book is the fact that it's quite hard to get into. There's quite a lot of muddy plane descriptions at the beginning, because that's Maddie's thing, is she's a pilot, but honestly if you just sort of push past that initial confusion, it is so rewarding, and it made me cry like a baby. It's so good. So next up we have Wally, and the question for this one is a beautiful love story. And for this I went for Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. So I realise that this might be a kind of controversial opinion to some people, because Mr. Rochester is, I think he's a bit of a controversial character. You either love him or you really don't like him. But in terms of his relationship with Jane, I love it so much. I reread this book really recently for something that I'm doing to do with college, and it just reminded me of like how much I love the 2 of them together. I think what I love is that you get the sense that with their relationship, with Jane and Mr. Rochester's relationship, it's not about romance, it's about like sort of they see each other in a way that no one else does. They kind of see the essence of each other, and they love that essence, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I feel like it's a very deep set and passionate love, and I love reading about it, and to me it's just one of the most gorgeous love stories and one of the most rewarding ones as well in the end, and I love them so much together.
My name is Merida and I will be shooting from my own hand.
God, I can't do a Scottish accent. Oh, anyway, next up we have Brave, and for Brave the question is, what book made you feel a little bit brave? That was a rubbish pun. I'm sorry. What book was it that encouraged you to go out of your comfort zone or maybe to try something new? And for this one I went with Saving Francesca by Melina Marchetta. I absolutely love Melina Marchetta. She is my favourite young adult author of all time. She writes these amazing characters and she has these really simple stories that are just beautiful, and her characters make me want to cry and laugh and smile and reach into the pages and pull them out and hug them. Saving Francesca is a book about a young woman called Francesca who doesn't really know who she is. She's got a bit of a personality conflict going on in that really she's a very out there and entertaining and loud person, but the friendship group that she's had from the age of sort of 11 to 16 has kind of repressed that. And made her into someone that she's really not at all. And right at the start of this book, her mother, Mia, who Francesca kind of has a love-hate relationship going on with, is diagnosed with depression, and she feels more alone than ever, especially as she has to go to a new school. This book is really about Francesca kind of reconnecting with who she really is and getting to know herself better and putting herself out there more than she ever did. And for me, Francesca's journey to self-confidence is just one that made me feel a lot braver. It's just really empowering to read about her journey, and I loved it, and I reread this so often because it's just such a great book for when you do want that kind of boost and you do want to feel brave and empowered, and it's just wonderful.
You got a friend with me. You got a friend with me. When the road looks up ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Oh, you got a friend with me.
Next up is Toy Story, and for this one the question is a dead character that you really wish that you could bring to life. This is going to be a kind of spoilery question regardless of anyone's answer, so if you have not read Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, skip to this time that I'm going to put somewhere around here if you don't want to be spoiled for it. The dead character that I wish I could bring to life is Beth from Little Women. I read Little Women when I was about 11 or 12 and I was absolutely gutted by Beth's death. Beth's death, that's hard to say. Beth's death. She was just the sweetest and most innocent and loveliest and kindest character that I'd ever read about. She was just the nicest of the March sisters, definitely. She wasn't my favourite March sister. Jo is everyone's favourite March sister, but she was definitely the nicest one. And I was just so upset when she died. It seemed like such a senseless, like meaningless death just to have like the kindest character ever die. Beth March was just too good for this world.
Under the sea, darling, expect it downwards, where to take it from me.
Next up we have The Little Mermaid, and for this one the question is, what book made you want to be part of its world? That was a lot better than the Brave pun. I mean, come on. I feel like the obvious answer to this is Harry Potter, but as I've already given that as an answer for one of my questions, I thought I'd try something a bit different, and the book that I've chosen for this question is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Just kind of Jane Austen's world in general, I just really like the way that she writes. I like the fact that everyone gets a happy ending. I think that's what really draws me to Jane Austen's stories, is that everyone is just happy at the end of it, and that's the kind of world I want to live in. I mean, I don't think I'd literally want to live in Renaissance times, considering that women had like no rights and nothing really to do, and I'd be really bored. So like medicine was also bad and everything, but you know, in terms of the happy endings, like the romance and the happy endings, I would like that. The lack of women's rights and general sanitation, not so much.
Ohana means family, and family means that nobody gets left behind.
Next up is Lilo and Stich, also known as the film that made me cry my eyes out, and for this one the question is a book where family dynamics are extremely important. For this one I chose another Melina Marchetta book because of how much I love Melina Marchetta, and I chose Finnegan of the Rock by Melina Marchetta. In the most basic sense possible, Finnegan of the Rock is the story of a group of people, a group of exiled people trying to find their way home again, essentially. And family dynamics and just generally dynamics between people are important in all of Melina Marchetta's books, but especially here. You know, you get such a wide range of relationships that she explores, like fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, romantic partners, siblings, cousins, and it's just absolutely gorgeous, and it makes me cry every time. The characterization with Melina Marchetta is always gorgeous, but the emphasis that she puts on family and friendship in her novels is definitely one of my favourite aspects of her writing, and I think it's really, really strong in this series. Next up is Monsters Inc. and for this one the question is a book that changed the way that you thought about something. And for this I've picked It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. I read this book last year and it really changed the way that I think about mental health and particularly adolescent mental health. I can't explain in what way my perception was changed. I guess it's that I had a better understanding of it after reading this book. It's a very interesting and dark but also funny insight into a teenager's life, and that teenager, Craig, happens to be suffering from a mental illness. This to me just felt like a very honest portrayal of mental illness. Ned Vizzini himself had a history of it before writing this book, and I feel like you could really tell that this story was coming from a very raw, honest and personal place. And for me this just really kind of shed a light on something that I'd never really looked into deeply before, and for that reason it was the book that I chose. So next up is Aladdin, and for this one the question is, if you could be granted one bookish wish, what bookish wish would that be? By bookish wish I literally mean anything. So is there an author collab that you'd really, really like to see? Is there a couple that you would love to see get together? Is there a cover change that you would love to see? Is there a sequel that you would love to happen? And for me the answer to this question is another Harry Potter related one, and it is a Marauders sequel. I feel like everyone kind of wants a Marauders sequel. I mean, it's not impossible. Like, she's written The Cursed Child, she's written the play, she's written the future generation. I feel like, you know, if she can write the future generation, there is no reason she can't write the past generation. So that is definitely what I would spend my bookish wish on.
We're dead! We survived, but we're dead! Next
up is The Incredibles, and for this one you have to pick your favourite fictional parents. And for me, I chose Hans and Rosa Huberman from The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I absolutely loved these two, and I really loved their dynamic with Liesel. I also liked the way that they balanced each other out. You had Hans, who was like the sweetest, kindest, like bestest person just ever, and then you had Rosa, who very much had that tough love thing going for Liesel. I loved seeing the three of them together, and I thought they were an excellent fictional family and two great fictional parents.
as all this time, true as it can be, barely even friends, found somebody bends unexpectedly.
Finally we have Beauty and the Beast, and for this one the question is, what tale as old as time or what very simple and generic plot did you think was taken by an author and handled in a really new, original and beautiful way? For this one I chose Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. Eleanor and Park can be boiled down to such a simple plot. You can literally just boil it down to 3 words, which is, you know, a love story. But Rainbow Rowell has kind of taken what is a very generic boy meets girl plot and turned it into something that's so beautiful. And part of this was due to her beautiful writing, part of this I think was due to the way that she kind of integrated the setting and the time period with the lives of the characters. Really what impressed me so much about this book was that she took this plot that was so simple and made it something that just made my heart hurt. The plot was generic, but the reaction that it got from me was definitely not generic at all, and I think this is a really great example of how you take such a simple premise and create something really beautiful and original and new from it, and I absolutely love this book. It's joint with Fangirl as my favourite Rainbow Rowell book that I've read. There you have it, that was my attempt at a Disney and Pixar book tag. Like I said, it was really just something that I decided to do for fun, so I'm not going to like officially tag anyone. If any of you want to do it, or if any of you want to do what I did and just kind of take the films or the characters and create your own questions from them, I'd be really interested to see it. But I'm going to be in Florida for over 2 weeks, so I won't be uploading for quite a while, so this is probably the last you're going to hear from me for quite some time. So thank you so much for watching, and goodbye!